Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day in the somewhat decent state of Alabama. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson, as we are live from Auburn, Alabama, getting you ready for Hogs and Tigers. We got Andrew Ellis back in Fayetteville, which is very snowy, according to reports, but we always thank you and each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon. This afternoon, got a lot of things to get to here on this Tuesday. We're going to do, of course, talk a little Arkansas and Auburn, and we'll also talk a little bit about the documentary that happened last night with Razor's Edge. We'll get to, of course, what to watch with Bryant Technologies, some BetSaracen action with some buy or sell, and your chats. So if you want to get in on it, the conversation, have some fun with it, that's great. But hey, Curtis, it's good to see you in once again in person. And of course, Andrew holding the fort down back there. How was the trip, Curtis? How would you rate it from 1 to 10?
I mean, probably like an 8.5 right now. It might have been a little bit higher than that until we got here. And I mean, we knew we were staying close to campus, so we kind of figured it was going to be an Auburn themed place. But man, they went overboard here. We've got the state of Alabama in the background here. That was the one thing we couldn't get away from, but it's decked out. I've got this weird mural of an Auburn Tiger above my bed in my bedroom. John's got this big ass War Eagle sign over his bed. There's a lot going on Auburn related here. We're very, very much behind enemy lines. We're looking out the window and we can see Jordan-Hare Stadium. So pretty cool.
Yeah, and as well as a lot of thighs. Not this. It's a man. It's a dude. He's a hanging brain.
Shorts out the window. It's weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. But Andrew, how's the snowy Fayetteville side of things over there?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not seeing any thighs, John, because nobody walking around Northwest Arkansas is wearing anything other than a lot of bundles. Yeah, I'm sitting here. I have a perfect view outside my window, and it's starting to calm down a little bit, but it's a consistent snowfall, some flurries, which have been going on for the last hour or so, and it's been kind of lightly snowing since about 10 a.m. this morning. It's we're gonna get some snow. Some of the experts have been saying it might even get as high as a foot in Northwest Arkansas. So doesn't look like I will be leaving this home for a while. If I do, it'll be to go check out our pup Rowdy, and he was doing good earlier. He was in good spirits, and hopefully he still feels the same when it's Friday the next time I can go see him.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Andrew for helping out in a pinch when it comes to Rowdy and making sure he does this business not inside of my house. So really appreciate that and him coming through with it. But it's crazy because we were just talking before the show here in Auburn. It's what'd you say, Curtis? 60 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's
dude, sunny.
58 degrees and sunny. It's pretty nice down here. That's the good part about being here instead of Arkansas is the weather in this particular case. And that's why we left early. I mean, also we got to give a shout out real quick to Tupelo, Mississippi.
Yeah, dude, that was wild.
It's going to be a vacation spot for me and Michelle, man. There's something about that. They got a lot going on over there. Apparently there's a buffalo zoo, which is exactly what it sounds like, a zoo with a bunch of buffalo. A lot going on. Looked like a cool place where we were staying. So, yeah, there you go. Shout out to Tupelo.
It's already been an experience of a trip. Had the worst gas station or weirdest gas station experience in Chick-fil-A. There's just a lot, and we'll probably do that and recap it as time goes on because nobody really cares about that stuff. But yeah, we're going to be here though, not only for today, but for tomorrow. We'll do the show live right here in Auburn, and then Thursday we'll just see what happens. We'll wing it as time goes on, but we'll do a lot of previewing, of course, of that tomorrow on the show, but as well as Pod at the Palace. And then, of course, I know Andrew is going to be heading down to Arlington, presumably so. I mean, weather permitting. I don't know what it's going to look like. It should be cleared out by the time you leave, though, right?
That's kind of what I thought. So I'm not leaving until Friday morning. Initially, we were thinking about heading down to Arkadelphia Thursday night, but I think we're just going to wake up Friday and just head down there. So we'll see. Perhaps I'll do the show from a McDonald's in Oklahoma. Who knows what I'll do for that.
Reba's Place.
I mean, we're assuming, the snow should be done by Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night. And then it's going to be sunny, but 25 degrees on Thursday. And so I don't know if that will lead to snow getting cleared up, the roads getting clear, but I'm hoping by Friday morning, there's at least a path out of town. And I was looking at some of the path, in Oklahoma, it's not going to snow or anything like that. So I should be able to, if I can get out of Northwest Arkansas, I'll be good on Friday. But really excited about that Arlington trip. I'm having only a little bit of FOMO with y'all in Auburn, but really I'll only have FOMO if they win, I think.
That's it. But if the game ends up being a good game, but Arkansas falls a little short, no FOMO. But if they win,
like some half-assed FOMO, a little bit of oh yeah, it'd been nice to be there with you guys. But I'm would I really wanted to go to Auburn to watch a loss?
Yeah. That's fair.
And then turn around and go to Arlington on Friday. I think I'm okay with how the scheduling, laid out.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have you all covered here on Inside Arkansas, folks. So again, we're going to be doing basketball this week in Auburn, of course, baseball for the college baseball series down there in Arlington too, with Bombastic. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of things to discuss today. And, I kind of wanted to open up where, we'll do a lot of previewing and stuff for Arkansas and Auburn tomorrow. But I know me and Curtis watched it. The Razor's Edge was last night's episode 2, which was great to see of the episode, I guess, of the Kentucky game. That's kind of the one that everybody was waiting on and couldn't wait to see how it all played out. And Curtis, I know we talked a little bit about it, but episode 2, anything change, anything stand out, anything that really made me like, oh, I didn't know that from that documentary?
Not really. I mean, I think it just really showed, as if we didn't already know, how much John Calipari really wanted that game. You could see it, the emotion written all over his face and some of the things that he was saying. So that was pretty cool. I thought they did a good job. I was wondering how they were going to get a full episode out of that. And they did a pretty good job, I think, of backtracking to what he did at Kentucky, why it was such a big deal without going completely overboard with that. They who are they interviewing? Like the governor of the state and everything, and talking to him. But no, it was good. Some more interaction, between him and the players and everything, and some off the cuff stuff from Cal, which we have a kind of a montage of his, Calisms or whatever we want to call it that you could queue up in a second if you want to, John. But it was good. I still wish that it would go a little bit deeper. Like one of the things we were hoping was maybe they would talk a little bit about the skirmish by the bench, or maybe there was some behind the scenes, like a camera that caught Billy Richmond and the fans afterwards or something like that. But it didn't get into any of that at all. So I was a little bit disappointed by that. The other thing that I'll say that stood out, and we talked about it, Jonas Adu, strange guy, man. Strange guy. I don't know if he's like the class clown of the team, but he's got some weird mannerisms about him. He was cracking me up the entire time during that show. It was funny.
So can we confirm we were not in it this past episode? I know you said last night. No Inside Arkansas love. That's shameful. But no, I'll definitely have to check it out though, because I am one of those people that has to wait until the next day. Like when y'all were texting about it last night, I had to wait until the next day when they posted it online. But I'll definitely check that out while I'm trapped in the house. But that actually is not that surprising about Jonas. I feel like he's got interesting vibes.
Yeah, it's like, I think everybody's got a personality and a different type of personality on there, but his was definitely one of those of like, all right, like he would say things, you'd be like, oh, okay. In fact, there was a really funny, we'll play the deal here in a second, but the real funny one was they were, I guess, on the plane or on the tarmac about to go to the airport or get on the plane to go to Kentucky for Lexington. And he's looking at a Duthero and he's saying something about what he's wearing. And he's like, oh, wait, it's not blah, blah, blah. The way you dress, this must be a big game. This is a big deal. Like doing kind of weird. And the Duthero goes, man, he's trying too hard. But yeah, this is a big game. Like it was just something really random and really funny. But yeah, he's a character. I was with you, Curtis. I wish they would have had the skirmish. I want to know more about that and what Billy Richmond had to say. But I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and play this clip because this thing's outstanding. And kudos to Curtis for putting this together on our way down. These are just the random Calisms, man. Like it's simple as that from the special. We don't want anyone to provide context. Maybe we will afterwards in a bit, but it's about a minute and a half. This is just outstanding classic John Calipari at its finest.
Try to blow over one guy. They can't. You know this shit's on them. Like, they got to get this game. Adu, you were right there with them saying, my back, I got to stretch. Listen, we're going into a war. You better get your asses ready. It's all fake bullshit.
Yeah. I'm cheap, coach. You know me. I ain't spending
you and me
money.
both. Hey, I taught you well. That's what Carl Town says. It's the one thing I learned from you, to be cheap as shit. Why would you call that? I didn't know before the foul. Before the shot. Fouling when they're shooting two. There's 20 minutes. We're getting after these son of a bitches. I know. Let it go. He had a layup. I'm not calling it on a layup. He got held.
I saw the whole thing on it. He grabbed him and pulled him down to the ground. That's how the dude ended up on the ground.
You grabbed him and threw him to the ground instead of fighting.
3 fouls now on it.
Did Billy make a difference in this game? Yes, he did. Good. Interlocking roots. You got to blow us all over. And then let's get out of here as quickly as we can.
I mean, again, you don't even need context. That's the documentary right there in a nutshell. I mean, a lot to break down from that, but the voices and the tones is what gets me every single time. Not what he's saying necessarily, but just the way in which he says it is just cracking me up, man.
He continues to give off those like grandpa or uncle vibes or whatever with the way that he does that stuff. And I mean, I guess it resonates fine with the college guys, but he's cracking me up, man. He's a funny man. He was leaning all the way into that redwood trees and the way the roots intertwine instead of dig deep into the earth thing. He was all over that from beginning to end of the episode. But yeah, some pretty good stuff in there. We didn't clip the Chin Coleman stuff.
Yeah,
Chin Coleman has grown on me a lot, man. That dude was getting after it in the pregame speeches and in the film room and everything. But you got to have the Calisms, man. He's just a funny guy.
Has anyone done more for their stock through this Vice TV show than Chin Coleman? Like, I have a much higher, like, I'm sure I have a higher opinion probably about a lot of people, but like not that much, not much higher than I already did. Like, we love watching Cal's Calisms, but we love those anyways. I really like that there was a war reference. We're going to war. Like, I like that he had some of that going on, because early in the year, you can't really play that card too much. When you're playing Oakland at Bud Walton, you can't really sell that you're going to war. But now that you're, at Kentucky, you can sell that. Tomorrow night, that's certainly a war. And the closer you get to the final goal, the month of March, the Ides of March, you really can sell that wartime stuff. And I also love did Billy help us in this game? Yes, he did.
I know. Like that was one I was kept quoting to Curtis when we were coming back, because it sounds like such a parent talking to a child. He's like, did Billy Richmond help me? I was, yes, he did. He sure did. It's like I'm talking to my dog Rowdy or something like that. Just like, yeah, you're a good boy. You did good. But yeah, it was fun just to see all of that and in his moment and in his element and him going back. I knew it was going to be a very interesting episode from that perspective, but yeah, the way that he wanted it, the way that he approached it, being very serious about it. And then in halftime, him hitting the clipboards, like, we got 20 minutes until we get these SOBs. Like, he was so intense, that was probably, I think, the fascinating thing is just, again, stuff we don't get to see from Cal. We get to hear about it a little bit, or if he does a press conference, and one that he actually does, we get to see it. But just to know what the approach is in a game like that is just fascinating to see the behind the scenes.
I love that he actually throws the 4-letter words at those dudes.
Oh yeah,
you need that, man. You got to be able and willing to heat them up. And I was just wondering if that was something that he did, and it seems like he does it pretty regularly. We were laughing because you'll notice, Andrew, when you go back and watch it, I mean, there's pretty good amount of cursing on there. But at one point, Chin Coleman in the pregame was like, these mother have to feel us. We got to make these MFers feel us. And they were blurring out the MF. That's like the only thing you can't say on bias, apparently. But yeah,
he was mother. You could say the F word, but you can't say mother effer.
Yeah.
It is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Well, and I agree with that sentiment. I mean, not that like cursing. I'm not promoting it. I'm not promoting it now. But I think that, like, as an athlete, it does fire you up a little bit when you hear your coach say something like that. I had a coach that never cursed, and then right before we played a playoff game, he said, "Guys, let's whip their ass." And we were like, "Whoa, whoa!" And so I'd imagine it's the same thing with Cal. But seriously, though, we all knew that Cal wanted to be Kentucky. That wasn't a secret. We all we talked about it very much every single day leading up to it, and afterwards, how much it meant to him. But he plays it coy a lot of times publicly when you ask him about it. Oh, yeah, love my time at Kentucky. Oh, yeah. I'm always going to love BBN, blah, blah, blah. But you saw there, though, that, like, he does want to win. Like, you saw it a lot, and I think it's important for the team to see that. Not that Cal doesn't want to win every game. It's not like the team is ever going into a game wondering if their head coach wants to win. But seeing that probably fired them up a good bit. And I think it also reminds me of how, I mean, of course, the documentary will get there eventually, but his reaction to losing to A&M on Saturday, I thought was a similar, you could see that guy starting to come out publicly. And so I just love it all, man. And I think, I'm sure I'm going to get more fired up after watching the episode, but it does seem like there's a little bit like Cal is aware of the notion that people think he's mailed it in, that he doesn't care that much, that, he's just kind of half-assing it. And I think it's cool to see that other side of him.
I'm glad that you said that, and you're right. And I think anybody who's like on the fence about how to feel for this Auburn game, like how do I get super fired up about this? Like the team is being weird again, and Auburn's so good. Watch that episode. Like it got me kind of fired up. I'm not gonna lie. But to your point about the people wondering if Cal's melted in or whatever, there's obviously been this stigma or whatever out there that. Maybe he doesn't work as hard as he did before. What's up with the staff? Do they prepare? Like, what's their game plan look like? And that's been one of my takeaways from this, because they're not going super in depth, but they're talking a lot about, okay, like Amari Williams is so left-hand dominant, and here's how we're going to defend this and understand this action and specifically what they're looking for here. And this is why you got to be careful when Almanor is at the 4 because he plays the 3. And Carr is going to play, and you got to be able to stay down on that shot fake. Like they were getting into the weeds a little bit with the scouting report, and Cal was talking about the film that he watched. And hey, I noticed this. We might not do this, but everything else that we talked about yesterday and everything we're talking about running, it's all going to work. And here's why. And I'm not saying that makes him the most brilliant basketball coach that ever lived. That's basic stuff. But for the people who just think they roll the ball out there and let them play, or that they're very much just like, oh, we don't watch tape, we don't prep, we don't have a scout. That's bullshit. Of course they do.
Yeah.
And that was good to see. Like I appreciate that, and that goes to further the point that Chin Coleman, he's kind of him, man.
Yeah.
He's the one guy. And Andrew, I don't want to spoil too much for you or anybody who hasn't watched, but you'll see the pregame stuff, and it's when Chin Coleman was going on his rant, and like he gets you going, like you're kind of ready to run through a brick wall or whatever, and then it pans over to Kenny Payne, and he's just like, this is what we've been building for 5-6 days, and it's time. It's time now. And it was just like the biggest buzzkill in the world. Like you're ready to go. Kenny Payne starts talking. You're like, yeah, okay, nap time.
Dude, that reminded me so much. Like if you guys remember going to Razorback football games and everyone got hyped before the game, and then they do the hog walk where they have the old man walk out of the A right before kickoff. That's what it reminded me of. Is everyone's getting fired up for a big game. It's like, it's time now to honor the Jerry whatever who gave a lot of money to us. Here he's walking with Jeff Long outside the A, waving to everybody. It's like, just killed it all. It's that was what it felt like. But yeah, and also too, because I know we're talking a lot about with the Kentucky game, and we'll make a transition and get to Auburn too. But I was just glad to see that there wasn't any of this. Hey, it's just another game. We're not worried about that. We're worried about playing out and doing what we're doing. Everything, just something like that. And then instead, he was just like, no, this is going to be emotional. No, hey, my 3 players that played here, it's going to be a thing for them. Like it was very much embraced and fueled, I think, from everything that they wanted to do and wanted to accomplish. And of course, Cal getting after the officials was awesome too. About the layup and the dunk. He's like, he dunked it. He dunked it. You don't call a foul. He dunked it. Just, again, that's the type of stuff I love seeing. And just, the guy that it'd be one thing, because I was going to tell Curtis this last night too. If he wasn't a Hall of Fame coach, I know he's not winning at the high level that everyone wants right now, but if he wasn't a Hall of Fame coach, I'd be like, this guy is a clown. Like, I cannot wait for this guy to get fired because it's such a gooberish type of tactic. But it's because he's a Hall of Fame coach, because he's won so much, you're like, well, I mean, people resonate. People do it. So there's got to be something to it. But man, I'm glad that he's won a lot, because if he hadn't won and seen that stuff, it would just be cringe fest all over again.
Gooberish, he said. That's going to go in the dictionary.
Yes.
Well, you know how like LeBron, when LeBron's like one of the corniest tweeters on the planet. Like everything he tweets is like either a lame joke or like an overly serious thing that's stupid. And it's like one of those things where we're kind of like, you know what? That kind of makes it cool that you see LeBron, the best athlete in the world, being like that. It's kind of funny. Cal, I think, is the same thing where we view him as this like allure, like this big guy with all this mystique around him. So to see him be like just a corny old man is actually kind of endearing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I don't want to say he's a grandpa, but it's kind of like the, dad jokes and the dad tones, and it resonates for whatever reason. I mean, it resonates. And that's where I'm hopeful that because of what that game was and what it became, maybe this game against Auburn can be one of those, right?
Chill out.
Maybe one that he rallies the troops and gets them going in the right direction. Probably not, but it is going to be fun to see how it all plays out tomorrow night in Auburn, and what the reactions are like. But also what the bounce back is like. Because as you mentioned, Andrew, they lost to freaking Texas A&M, and that was a frustrating thing for them and frustrating thing for Cal. So hopefully, somehow, some way, they find some way to bounce back and some way to use and utilize that charm and that way that they were able to go into the Auburn or the Kentucky game and use it a little bit against Auburn.
Well, the how do we expect the players to get fired up for this game, or how can we be mad at them if the fans don't even get fired up for it? Like, you get to go on the road and play number one. Everybody's like, not watching. They're going to get blown out. I don't care. They suck. Terrible. Trash. It's like, I mean, I don't know. Like, unplug your phones, like delete social media. They just got to bounce back, man.
Yep.
It's like the next play, next game mentality. It's like all the cliche stuff that people talk about all the time, but it really does apply, like you just got to have that. And I think it seems to me, at least, like from the press conference, we talked so much about it, but Cal, I think he sensed that he needed to light a fire in some way. And so he was sending a message with a lot of the things that he was saying there, and hopefully it does the trick. I mean, because that's one thing that he hasn't done a whole bunch of this year, is be that forthcoming about, like, hey, no, this is not okay. Yeah, we really needed that one, and we screwed it up, and we need this guy to do more, or this guy's going to take a back seat or whatever. Like, I kind of appreciate that, because it's one way to send a message. I'm sure he's been doing all those things behind closed doors, but you take it public, like you out some guys. Some people get mad and they're like, oh, he's rolling his team under the bus. I think he's just trying to get them going, whatever it takes. And, he used the word fragile, and we talked about it yesterday, and I'm not crazy about the usage of that word. I also don't know if I'm really buying it with this team, but what I do think is it's just a way to try to get them going a little bit and try to deliver the message in a different way, because you're going to need a different level of intensity and execution to go down here and compete with Auburn. I mean, it's just the truth of the matter. They're really freaking good.
Well, one thing that I think we've learned in sports is that anytime you think you have a team where they have an on-off switch, where they can kind of coast, and then turn it on when they need, or the reality is it's a lot harder to just click and turn it on. And of course, that's kind of your challenge all the time as a coach, is you're trying to sell that to your team. Hey guys, we've been struggling, but now it's time to play or whatever. But the reality is, like, Arkansas has a lot of built-in excuses going into this Auburn game. It's the easiest letdown. I mean, not letdown spot, but if Arkansas loses by 15, nobody's going to be surprised. We won't even really hold it that much against them. So you kind of have something to fall back on. If you're the Razorbacks, you have a reason to not be super motivated and not play super hard, and maybe not, have that do or die mentality, because you kind of, no one's going to really be that upset if you lost, especially coming off an A&M loss where it's really, really expected. I mean, I haven't seen a spread yet, but I'd imagine it's a double-digit spread, or at least close to it. And now that I think about it, it's definitely going to be a double-digit spread,
like
right?
18.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a fat spread. But I think this is going to be important for Arkansas. One, I'm not saying they have to win. Nobody's saying that, I don't believe. But it's like, we can always kind of tell the difference between a close loss, a loss that was close because the other team missed a ton of threes, and a game where it's like I would say the Bama game, where you were very much in that game until the final possession. You kind of gave someone all they had. Like, there's just different ways to go about it. And so it's going to be interesting to see if this team feels that need and that desire, like they're as hungry in this Auburn game, which is really going to be less attainable, because I feel like it's hard to not have that effort and not have that intensity against Auburn, and then just turn it on when you get back home and whenever it's a little bit easier team.
Yeah, you're just hoping that against Auburn, it's comparing it to the Texas A&M game, that I'm going to be. In fact, I'll tell you what, before I even start that, I'm going to use this as our What to Watch segment presented by Bryant Technologies, because it'll be something that I'm going to be watching. I know we'll talk about what everybody else is going to be watching, and we'll get to your chats here in a second, folks. But Bryant Technologies is dedicated to delivering high-quality network infrastructure and security camera solutions. We really appreciate their partnership with us, to take pride, of course, in their exceptional workmanship and commitment to keeping your business and operations seamlessly connected, as well as secure, whether it's structured cabling. You got security camera installation, which is obviously very important these days. I have it in my house just for Andrew, so make sure Andrew, I have cameras in my place in case you do any funny business when watching Rowdy. Digital signage, as well as TV mounting. So if you need any of those services, they have you covered, not only here in the state of Arkansas, but the bordering states of Arkansas as well. So have Bryant Technologies help you out with all of your network and security needs. You can give them a call at 870-883-0330. And you can also check their website out at Bryant'sTechnologies.com with that S in between. Bryant'sTechnologies.com. It's Bryant Technologies, quality work guaranteed. And here, the thing I want to watch, guys, is, and reminded me of that A&M game and the frustrations that came from it. You know how pissed off I'm going to be if Arkansas, they go in Auburn, and Auburn plays one of their worst games of the year. Can't hit water if they fell out of a boat. Can't shoot, turnovers, all this stuff. And just like they're basically trying to let you win. And because of your own stupidity when it comes to turnovers or miss layups and gimmies, you lose again. Like that's going to be something that's just going to be so demoralizing to this team and to everything. If you're in a position, because you had against A&M, A&M played a bad game where they were trying to let you do it. If that happens twice in a row, especially against a team like Auburn in this building right over here, I'm going to be infuriated, and I can't imagine how Cal will feel if that ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things for me is you just want Arkansas to play well. That's the only reason why the A&M thing is frustrating, because I think people who don't understand the context, who might hear us or other people saying, man, that was a bad loss. That was a bad loss against A&M. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? It's a top 10 team. You played them on the road. Like, it was an 8-point game. It was tied with however many minutes ago. Like, why is that a bad thing? Well, it's because Arkansas didn't play well. They played like a C game, and we're in position to win it anyway. Like, if they just played a decent ball game, I'm not saying they would have won, but you would have felt a lot different about it. It wasn't like Texas A&M played particularly well either, but that's not the point. You want to see your team play well. Same thing here. Like, you just want to feel like Arkansas was up for the challenge, up for the moment. And so I think, we think about the Kentucky game. Yeah, I think they were up for that. Even Bama, like they had that stretch there where they fell behind by 18, but it was back and forth the entire first half. They battled back. I felt like they were up for the moment. There have been times where I haven't necessarily felt that way. Kentucky and Texas, they were obviously ready for it. When they went on the road and played a number one team earlier in the year against Tennessee, they weren't ready for that, man. They were not up for the challenge. They weren't awake. They weren't dialed in. They didn't play well. That's why it was so frustrating. And it was the message we kept sending, where I feel like a million different times the day after a game on the Pod the Palace, I'm like, listen, it's not that Arkansas lost. It's how they lost. It's like a broken record thing. But the whole point is you want your team to play well. If Arkansas kind of balls out and they look good and they go lose this game to Auburn by 8 or 10 points or whatever, yeah, okay, fine. We'll take our ball and go home. But if they go out there and stink it up and they get blown out, and you hear all the people saying, it was just a flash in the pan that weekend. They haven't figured anything out. This is a flawed team. Cal's lost his fastball. We start having to deal with all that crap again. That's what's going to drive me freaking nuts for sure.
I honestly think there's a scenario to where there's like a perfect loss here in play for Arkansas. Because one thing we've seen about this team is when you corner them, they start to get a little antsy. They start to get a little frisky. That's when they can get you, is whenever you corner them and they feel that desperation. So I think if Arkansas loses this game by 1 or by 21, that desperation is still going to exist for Arkansas. But to your point, Curtis, it's going to feel just so much different. If you get demoralized by Auburn, you get really smacked, it's going to be hard to just get up for the next game and feel super confident and feel like, hey, now we're going to play well. Oh, and it's also going to happen in a building where we've never played well all year. It's just going to be kind of tough to sell yourself on that. And by the way, I hope everyone's not confused into thinking that like Arkansas needs this Auburn game from a resume standpoint, tournament standpoint. Luckily, we talk about that going into literally every game. I feel like that's almost irrelevant in this particular context. Of course, it would help Arkansas if they lose by 4 rather than 24 from a metric standpoint and all that. But really, I do think it's more about just what version of this Arkansas team do we see. And because, again, after every game, I feel like we've done the thing where we're like, man, if that team shows up, they can beat Vanderbilt. They can beat whoever. And Saturday, like you guys said, was really the first time where you felt that, where you're like, man, this version of this Arkansas team, I actually don't think they would beat Vanderbilt in Nashville. I don't know if they'd beat Mississippi State at home. And so I think we just want to see something close to a team that's quote unquote firing on all cylinders. And regardless of that, it might not be enough in this Auburn game.
I'm just going to be so mad if, like I was telling Curtis coming down here, if Arkansas is in a position where it's either going to be one of two things, because Auburn seems to be, I think when you read off the scores that Auburn has lost in the SEC, it's either been actually really close or absolutely terrible. Like it's either been a 4, 5, 6 point game, or it's been just domination from beginning to end. And so I just really hope it's not. I hope it's not like the Missouri game, like we saw earlier this season for Arkansas, where it's just you're not even in it. It's boring. It seems like people are turning off the TV. I'm really hoping that it's not that case.
Yeah, no, I hope so too, man. Arkansas has been so weird about, like, for the longest we were like, oh, they're a second half team, and then they were, starting better, and they were getting, out to double digit leads, and they wind up losing anyway to Ole Miss and Florida and stuff. They've been all over the place. Sometimes they're done before the first media timeout, like at Missouri or whatever. But yeah, and you're right. Auburn's been, it's weird, man. There's not a lot of gray area there. Like they beat Missouri by 16, and then they turn around. They only won at Texas by 5, and then they only won at South Carolina by 3. But then they beat Mississippi State by 22, and they won by 2 points at Georgia. I know Janai DeBroom didn't play in that game, but then they beat Tennessee. Like 13-point win over LSU, and then they were in a dogfight with Ole Miss, and they beat the absolute brakes off of Oklahoma by 30, and then they lose to Florida. You know what I mean? Like they're just all over the place. They struggle with Vanderbilt, and they pull away later in that game. And then they go and take care of business on the road against Alabama. So, like, they're still winning all these games, but it's been a lot of up and down in there for sure.
Auburn, you could throw us a bone. Like, nobody's gonna fault you at all. It's not gonna affect you literally at all if you lose this game to Arkansas. It really won't. It would actually maybe piss off your fan base a little bit, just because there's been a little bit of an Arkansas-Auburn basketball rivalry here lately. But like, relax. You can let up for this Wednesday night game. It's 8 p.m. Everybody's at church. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. There shouldn't be anybody at the game tomorrow, honestly, because everyone's going to be at church. It's 8 p.m. It's going to be the way it is. So, but all right, let's get to some of your chats, folks. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and even all the idiot trolls that are in there too. So let's see. We got a few people here. Cats by 90s back in the thing, and he just says Curtis has nice legs.
Thanks.
That's what we're.
Thanks for that. I saw somebody ask if I own any pants. I do. I just don't like to wear them if I don't have to. But listen, it's February, man, and it's 60 degrees and sunny where I am, so I'm definitely wearing shorts. The weather in Northwest Arkansas right now is definitely pants-worthy stuff for me. But no, I don't, man. If I can get away with wearing shorts, I'll do it 365 days of the year for sure.
I've seen you rock a jean here and there.
Yeah, the occasional jean. Yeah.
And everyone's talking about my pillow. Folks, I have the Auburn thing upside down. I'm trying to suffocate it. That's why I'm doing this. So that's why. Don't worry about it.
There's like an A and a U pillow over here somewhere.
Yeah, it's right over there on the couch.
I'm not bringing them over.
Yeah, it's just it's like I'm trying to do some like reverse psychology or something like that. So that's all it is. Because like we have Jose's like, John, can you go get a different pillow? Get one from the bedroom or something. No, because that one's probably got like Charles Barkley's urine on it or something. Because this place has just got nothing but Auburn crap all over the place.
It's so funny watching Hog fans get triggered over like merchandise. They really hate it when you're not wearing Arkansas colors. They really hate it if you wear something that even like is adjacently related to the opponent. Like if y'all wear any shade of red, it's going to be conceived for orange, and it's going to be bad. If you're wearing navy, they're going to be like, oh, that's Auburn too. Get out of here. It's so funny. They really hate merchandise.
Yeah, I hope that Arkansas doesn't have a thing like this. And again, like you kind of expect to have some Auburn decor, but it's on steroids in this place. And there's a book I tweeted out, but it's called like the daily devotional for the diehard Auburn fan. And every page is like they take a verse from the Bible and it's there quoted for you. And then it's a story that corresponds with like the birth and the rise of Auburn University and the Tigers that goes along with it. Like it's weird, man. I was going to read some on here to trigger people, but I don't think they're fired up enough for this game yet. I might save that for tomorrow.
It's actual, it's
crazy, man.
I feel like it's sacrilegious. I think we're going to be struck by lightning here, because again, the birth and rising of the Auburn sports program is the exact same thing as Jesus Christ. So it makes sense. It correlates. It tracks. Let's see. Also, everybody's freaking out about Cats by 90 and stuff. People just Caden's out here saying, do we need to get the belt again, Cats by 90?
Yeah, Cats by 90 is funny. He tries to troll, and there are times where you can tell it's just really it's kind of sad, the efforts. There are times where I appreciate it and I acknowledge it. Like today it was sad. Like we did the whole thing about the staff and prep and everything like that, and he's like, oh, throw them a parade. After we said like, look, it's things you expect from a coach, but people say they don't do it. And then they did it. Oh, by the way, it was a good enough game plan for them to kick your team's ass. So it's kind of a weird time for you to make that stance. And then he was doing the Curtis says that the Arkansas is the 13th best team in the country or whatever.
It's true. I heard him say that.
No, I pulled up Bart Torvik, which was literally an analytic that's on the NCAA selection committee team sheet. And, since Arkansas beat the hell out of Kentucky, they are that. I mean, it's just, and that's what that analytic says. And it's pretty
And that was
clear.
also like 10 days ago.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so
He's just now catching up.
right. I mean, I get it. It takes a little bit of time to get up to speed with everything that we got going on here. But again, we appreciate the effort. You've been better recently. Today's not your best day. Cats by 90. Try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just feel like sometimes people listen and they don't really listen to where it's like they hone in on specific words that you say and they like extrapolate that. I'm like, if you would just listen to the sentence and let it play out, you'd probably understand where it's like, but I think there's a lot of people who probably heard that and they were like, wow, Curtis does say that Arkansas is the 13th best team in the country. And like, that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how did you get that from what he said?
No, don't understand it at all.
They just play it in the background. I don't expect people to listen intently to what I say.
Yeah. Why would you do that? Words don't matter. Tuna's House of Influence says, might have missed it, but can Curtis tell us who is on the hate watch or who to hate watch on the bubble this week?
Check my Twitter for one. I put out a video yesterday of Monday, Tuesday bubble hate watch games for you to make sure you check out. I will say off the top of my head for today, by the way, Kansas State lost yesterday. That's good. They're done. They're at large bid. Their bubble conversation, it's over. Like they've got to win the Big 12 tournament to get in.
They should have been done even if you're playing on a Monday night in regular season. You don't need to be a team in the tournament.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
World?
So that already happened. Look for Florida to take down Oklahoma and just continue to push those dudes out of the way. That was one that was on my radar. Xavier, which is kind of on the fringe of the bubble, but there's not really that many teams out there that are in that conversation right now. Keep an eye on them. I can't remember who they're playing, Cincinnati or somebody, but they're in action tonight. There's a couple more, but yeah, check my Twitter. I got like a 2-minute video for that. I'll do another one and put it out tomorrow because there's a lot more games on Wednesday that we probably need to pay attention to for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait to see how the tournament goes out and how people are going to be watching what to make sure of it. But thank you, Angel, for the super chat. He says, buy an Obby sticker and put it on the toilet. All right. We'll try to find one. An Obby sticker.
Place to aim.
Yeah, I bet say I'm surprised the toilets aren't made out of solid tiger stripes. And
I guess you want the toilet to be like Alabama if you're an Auburn fan.
That's true. Yeah. And you have to have it in the water, so where you actually are taking the poop.
Auburn fans should invest in Roll Tide toilet paper. Wipe your ass with the Alabama Crimson Tide.
I like that.
And then
That's
you
a good
can
idea.
roll Toomer's Corner with it when you beat Alabama.
Yeah, and then you can burn that tree like that one guy did.
He didn't burn it. He just killed it, Andrew. Let's not get crazy. He just
That's
killed
one of the funniest things that's happened in like the history of civilization. That a guy like burned a sacred tree over college football, bro. That's crazy.
All because somebody put a Scam Newton jersey on Paul Bear Bryant's statue in Tuscaloosa. It caused an entire tree that had been there for 100 years.
It really does mean more,
to
man.
die. And I think the funniest thing about it, I'm not gonna say his name, but I have a residential Alabama fan, and he was in school when at Alabama when all that happened. I'm like, did you like laugh about it? He goes, oh my gosh, we were dying about it. He's like, we thought that was the funniest thing ever. And I was like, yeah, but say publicly, you couldn't say it because they had like the zoologist or whoever it is here that was like crying on the air because the tree died. And I was like, this is
what
so
would be
dumb.
the Arkansas equivalent of that though? Like, what would
like
someone
burning Old Main? Burning Old Main. I feel
okay, I was scared to say it, John. I was gonna say like a terrorist attack on Old Main is like the closest thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know I guess you could rebuild Old Main like you can regrow a tree, but that tree had been around a long time. So, yeah, let's not get anybody any ideas. Please don't do anything to Old Main, folks. It's still a classroom building,
I will say pouring dish soap in that hog statue was a crime committed by a Hog fan, I believe.
Yeah. See, but that was pretty funny still. I know it.
I mean, all of this is funny, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Our guy Trey says, we beat Auburn. Will you change the intro to I love this team? Yes.
Yeah, let's confirm that.
Consider it done.
Yeah. Like, in fact, we've already considered maybe doing it. But yes, I think that if Arkansas wins, it's warranted. Unless he comes up with an even better line after beating Auburn, which it could happen in there in the locker room.
He probably will.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. He might say of like some things he wants to do sexually with the team. I don't know. Like, I mean,
I don't think
could
he's
get crazy.
Do that. I don't.
It could get crazy.
I'm not anticipating that.
Do we want penetration?
Yeah. Jeez. Golly.
You guys are wild.
Yeah, like we're off the rails.
You guys are crazy.
Yeah,
Wow,
we're the ones saying
listen, I'm gonna have to
nonsense.
reel it in a little bit here.
Yeah, can't have everybody going crazy with it. Let's see. Also, a few more chats here. Brandon says Arkansas fans don't fool with Cal like that. He's above what they want a coach to act like. He's not running around shirtless to make fans feel good. Hall of Famers don't do that. I wonder who he's referring to. Which coach would do that?
At our boy Eric Patrick.
Woo.
Wow.
Woo.
I gotta say, I think Brandon's actually right. Like, you can be mad about it or not, but like Cal definitely would not do a lot of the antics that other coaches have done. And hell, I'm not even singling out Eric Musselman. There's a guy at UConn who's making an ass out of himself like every week, doing something weird. And there's just a lot of coaches that do a lot of weird antics, and it's obviously more about kind of firing up the fans and doing stuff like that. And Cal does bits, but I don't think he would be doing certain stuff like that. Like, I think his bits are just different bits. They're just kind of funny jokes and Cal-isms with the team. I think there's definitely a lot of the Hall of Fame coaches that that probably look at what some of these other coaches do and they're like, not crazy about that. Having said that, I was a huge fan when Eric Musselman would take off his shirt. I love that. It worked on me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like that too. I like that a lot. This is why I continue to honk the horn that John Calipari needs to get a tech soon.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's tough. Like, you want to cost your team in these close games or whatever. He's got to be able to pick out a moment. He's got to get one, and I think it needs to happen in Bud Walton. Like, sense the moment, feel when the crowd is really upset about something, get yourself a tech, and then you're good. But he needs a little bit more of that fire. I mean, you could tell from that little video we played that he's coaching with fire out there. But yeah, he's just not as demonstrative and loud and boisterous as Eric Musselman was there. But there are ways that he could maybe warm folks up to him a little bit who are starved for that.
Yeah, I just want to see as long as Dick Vitale's calling the game, calm down, John, calm down. Like, just as if Cal can hear him across the court. But yeah, that honestly, if there was an over-under set, maybe BetSaracen had it, but if there was an over-under set before the season started of like the over-under of Cal getting a tech and it was put at 1.5 techs, I would have taken the over. I'm actually shocked. There's still games left. I am shocked he has not gotten a technical this year yet. I'm not saying that he's just that guy who goes crazy, but can I have one, especially with the frustrating way this team has played sometimes? I'm just surprised.
It looked like he was about to get one in the Kentucky game, and DJ Wagner was the get-back guy.
He's become that. I wonder if that goes, if they work that into his NIL contract. DJ Wagner's like, okay, and in addition to being a basketball player, you also have to go over to Cal and have him do the get-back guy. Because you don't see Chin Coleman doing that. I don't see Kenny Payne doing that. They let DJ Wagner do it, I guess. Because I don't know if they don't want those guys out of their seats or if maybe those coaches know better. I don't know.
What's Kenny Payne going to do?
Yeah, well, that's
Coach,
true.
Hey, this has been building for the last 4 or 5 minutes. It's not time. Sit down.
It is not time. It may be time, but it's not time now. Yeah, really get you going. Get the blood boiling up in that. So, okay, we'll also get into a few other things. Appreciate Bryant Technologies and being a sponsor of What to Watch For, but we can also do a little Arkansas update. How about that? With Davis & Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. And we'll have a few, again, we'll kind of use this for basketball. So a lot of people are asking some of the questions dealing with Razorback basketball as well as some football stuff. I'll tell you what, since we're talking about the Vice deal, let's do this with Dre, our guy Dre. He says, my question is this: would a Vice-style documentary about Sam Pittman make us like him more or less? I actually think it'd make me like him more, I think. Because then it make me feel sorry for him because he's trying and he's being really nice, but people are like doing things that they say that they're going to do and they don't. Like, I feel like I'd like him more.
I tend to think it would help him too. I just remember back in the day when they let media into practice.
Those were good times.
Yeah, exactly. Like in fall camp and everything, and or even during the season. Like you would only get to film certain periods and you only be able to be in there for a little bit. So a lot of what we were able to see, other people couldn't. Like, we just kind of relay the message or whatever. But he's got some fire into him. Like, he'll get on some guys and like he'll throw some 4-letter words out there and everything. Like, there's some fire that I think Sam Pittman has that a lot of people, they don't see it, so they don't believe it. It's just like, oh, the shucks, the good old boy that just takes the high road at every press conference. And, I love this team, except it's not as cool as when Cal says it thing. But he's got a little fire in his belly too. I think a documentary like that, some behind the scenes that's not done by Hogs Plus would, I think that would help his cause. His approval rating would go up a little bit, in my opinion.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I also think, you mentioned the all shucks thing, which I understand why some fans get annoyed by the all shucks thing. And hell, we've been annoyed by it after a loss. We're kind of like, hey, show some more fire. But if you think about it, the all shucks thing really does play in these documentary settings when you're showing the day-to-day life, when you're showing what they're like at Wednesday, when they're meeting with the players, because Sam Pittman always references, I had a sit down with Braylon Russell the other day. I had a sit down with so-and-so the other day. I would imagine Sam Pittman comes across very likable in those conversations for the most part. I mean, most people like Sam Pittman. Like, he's just a likable guy. He's fun to talk to. He says funny things. He has a funny personality. He just carries himself a certain way. I think that would play very well, and it would kind of endear us. Not that we're not already endeared to Sam Pittman, but I definitely think like a Vice style documentary, Sam Pittman would look pretty cool. And he does a decent job for the most part when he does have to do the get fiery thing, like his lock the damn gates and stuff like that. That all works. Of course, the turn the damn jukebox, all that stuff, post game, post win, would definitely make people love Sam Pittman.
Yeah. I mean, I'd watch it. I don't know how enjoyable it would be, but I'd watch it. It'd be the same thing with Dave Van Horn, but for a different reason. If they ever did one about Dave, first off, it would never happen because he would not allow it. But second off, after wins, we get to see Dave after wins pretty much every game. Like they do the little thing on the field and him talking to, what did he say last year? I forgot that.
You're the right guy for this job.
Yeah, and you did it. Yeah, it's almost like, hey, kind of a little Cal to him in that. He's like, and you did it like that.
You remember when they beat Mississippi State last year? It was a very chippy series in Arkansas in the Sunday game. Yes. I think they erased like a 6-2 deficit or something like that. And Dave said, I don't hear shit coming from that dugout.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah. That stuff. And then, so we see that in the wins, but it's the losses that I would love to see. And that's the reason why we don't see him after the losses, because I'm surprised they put he said the 4-letter word after that win against Mississippi State. I guess they bleeped it out.
They bleeped it for sure.
Yeah. But, to see him after a loss, I couldn't imagine, but I'd like to see that part. Let's see. Also, Cajun Razorback wanted to bring up, he says, people seem to forget the Nick Smith team, 8-10 record, still an 8 seed. The committee took into account the talent and injuries. Most fans said for months we wouldn't get in.
This is true. But in fairness, I remember the vibes at the selection show thing they did at walk-ons weren't great. And there wasn't a lot of excitement from the fans there either. And I remember driving to Des Moines thinking, well, this is cool. Like, I guess we'll be here for a day or something. And there was just a whole lot of, this is an easy trip, so I made it. But, this year hasn't been what we thought it was going to be.
There was never an enjoyable watch party.
And then it just happened. It just happened.
And then everyone forgot about all the crap.
And we didn't really see from that team. I'm sure maybe I'm forgetting something, but did they have like a holy crap win that year? Like what Arkansas did at Kentucky, for example? I don't know that they really did that. Maybe they got somebody at home or something, but
I mean, they beat Kentucky on the road, and which wasn't like a,
but
that was about as close as you could get.
You're right. They did.
But that was like I think that was like in early February though. Like it wasn't, because then they turned around and got beat at home at the end of the year.
The one thing I will say is, if Arkansas gets in the NCAA tournament at this point, like they're probably going to be, a 10-11 seed. And it does seem like every year there's one of those that, because a lot of times those teams are like a high major who maybe didn't meet expectations, but people thought they were going to be good for a reason because they have a lot of talent or what. Like there's a recipe there, and it's like NC State last year, man. Like they just got hot at the right time. They're not near as talented as this Arkansas team is now, and they made it to a Final Four. I'm not comparing those teams, but you also see those. It seems like every year a team that's in Dayton winds up getting to the second weekend or like a freaking Elite Eight or something like that. UCLA during the COVID bubble year or whatever. They were in 11. They wound up getting through. They beat Alabama. They made it all the way, So you see that a little bit more frequently than you think. So I'm not saying, if Arkansas gets in, they're going to do that. But I know people would be like, it's been disappointing. They got a crappy seed. I don't care about this play-in stuff. just go into it with an open mind, because I bet a bunch of folks have felt that way in the past, and their team makes a crazy run. You look at the season completely differently in the aftermath.
Yeah, no one's gonna be like, oh, if it's a play-in game, and say if we go to a play-in game, they go to Dayton, and then they go to the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight, no one's gonna be like, yeah, but they got it in a play-in game. Like they had to hand it to them to get to the Sweet 16. Like nobody's gonna care or say that. Again, it goes back to the whole point when Arkansas beat Kansas, go to the Sweet 16. No one cares about the fact that they went 8-10 that year. No one cares that they lost to a trash LSU team in Baton Rouge. No one cares that they got their butts handed to them in the SEC tournament. I guess it was against A&M. Like, nobody cared. All they remember about, Sweet 16, made the Sweet 16. We beat Kansas, Sweet 16. Like, that's all anybody is going to care about if you make the NCAA tournament. They're not going to give a rip what happened in the regular season.
You know who agrees with you guys? Is Cajun Razorback, who said, I don't hate the idea of being in the first four. It might be easier than advancing as an 8-9. Since the start in 2011, 5 first four teams have made the Sweet 16, including Final Four runs from VCU and UCLA. So, yeah, I mean, you're talking about, not every other year, but like, it does happen pretty, not regularly, but it wouldn't be unprecedented by any means if Arkansas started in the first four and went on a run. And to his earlier point about the 8-10 conference record, that's a good point. And like you said, Curtis, it's not like Arkansas had to slay a ton of giants. They had to win a bunch of unwinnable games. I would also argue that this year's SEC is a lot better top to bottom than that year's SEC. So there's a reason. I know people have been skeptical when we've said 8-10 will 1,000% get you in the tournament. No doubt about it. Like no debate about that. 8-2 get you in the tournament. That's part of why. And that could also make you think maybe 7-11 would, but that's why we're like saying it, when we talked about NCAA tournament, people got rubbed the wrong way because they see the bad conference record and they just assume, well, you're not gonna be able to make the NCAA tournament with an under 500 conference record. But there's like pretty much a ton of evidence that points to the idea that yes, you will.
First of all, I wish I would have seen that follow-up from Cajun Razorback before I went on my rant, because he had all the information I was looking for there. So shout out to you for that. But no, you're right. And there was a 7-11 Big 12 team that made the tournament. It might have been last year, but within the last couple of years, it happens. And the reason why it happens is because the selection committee does not look at conference record. They don't look at it. Arkansas is just in a position where they just so happen to probably need those 7 or 8 wins because all of them are quality in the SEC this year. But that's not something they look at. They're not going to go look at conference standings and say, well, Georgia is a slot ahead of Arkansas, so we have to take them. That's really not how this works. So it's just like the full body of work. They every year they really hammer that home when all those questions are asked about why this team, why not that team. Well, this team did this in conference play, this team did that, whatever. And they say, well, we look at the entire body of work, every game from, November 4th or whenever you started your season to your conference tournament games that happened 3 days ago. They're all carrying the same weight because they're all part of the bigger picture there. And I just have one more because I want to do this. Oh, I lost it. No, here it is. Cats by Night, just one more time for you. This is always bringing up years you beat Kentucky. It's just because it happens annually now. It's just such
years.
Yeah, it's such a frequent occurrence that it's just it's an easy pull for us, and we're trying to bring something from the member berries because there's so many of them.
And
now.
You could really make the argument that Cal just got so sick of losing to Arkansas that he's like, well, if you can't beat them, join them, and that's why he decided to come over.
That's a large part of it, honestly.
I believe that was in his contract when he signed up for it. So I think that's facts.
The one Kentucky team that Arkansas couldn't beat though is the one that had Reed Sheppard coming off the bench, despite the fact that Cal ruined his life.
I heard about that one time. I heard about that at one point in time. That was crazy. That was wild stuff.
Reed Sheppard wore an Arkansas shirt, even though everybody told us that Reed Sheppard hates Cal and Cal ruined his life. Oh, man. Those are good times. I forgot about that.
Very good times, yeah.
Dude, the amount of former Kentucky players for Cal that were wearing or maybe not publicly wearing, rocking some Razorback stuff, it would be pretty shocking if you only knew, folks, if you only knew. Well, a few super chats. Really appreciate you guys. Appreciate our guy Dre. As always, he says SEC isn't good. It's only 500 since January. It's true.
Well,
it's true.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you can make that joke now and it'd still be funny. But back when the SEC Big 12 Challenge or whatever was in the middle of conference play, it wouldn't sound the same. It doesn't sound as good because, it'd be, well, technically not the whole SEC team was that. But yeah, it's like now you can. Now you can do that joke and you can do it there. Our guy Quinn, our Auburn fan.
Yes.
Appreciate you, man. He says, glad y'all got here safe. War Eagle. Curtis, if you go to Neville later, let me know. got something from 2 to 3, but after that I'll be available.
I like that.
All right.
I like that. Well, yeah, I plan on going over there at some point when we go on the road like this. I like to do the game preview pod at the Palace from around the arena. So plan on checking that out. We don't know what we're going to get into tonight, but guys got to eat and drink. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
And then we're still figuring out the logistics for the show tomorrow. We'd like to do it. We're Mama Goldberg's if we can, but trying to find a non-location spot to do that. And then obviously we'll be at the game. So we'll be around, man, the next couple of days, and let's definitely link up for sure.
Yeah. And also, between that and the logistics of this Auburn-driven dormitory place where there's been so many frozen pizzas made in here by college kids.
I don't plan on spending that much time. I'm going to sleep here, but I think I'm going to be out and about most of the time. I'm uncomfortable with all the blue and orange, man.
Yeah, I'm going to back my truck in so nobody sees my Arkansas license plate.
Good idea,
actually. Yeah, because there are going to be people that are going to be like, "Oh, this is the guy that said that we weren't the Super Bowl back in 2021."
Hogs by night, what?
Yeah, who says that? It's like it's real subtle stuff there. But yeah, we're looking forward to exploring. We'll of course follow along on our journey on social media, on our Twitters, and we'll give you the good stuff here of Auburn. But so far, as in like we walked to our Airbnb, it's been all right. But we'll keep you updated on all of that too. Again, I didn't make a graphic, but we all know that Alumni Hall is one of our great sponsors making this possible. We appreciate Alumni Hall and all they have. So for your Razorback gear, I guarantee you they don't have any of this crap. They probably do on the Auburn side of things, but we don't do all that stuff. We go to insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. You get all the great Razorback apparel that you could possibly want. In fact, we may buy some and have it shipped here to this Airbnb and stock it out as well. But they got everything when it comes to apparel, men, women, kids, all the good stuff when it comes to Columbia, all the Peter Millar, Southern Tide, everything. So check it out again, Alumni Hall, or shop them online at insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. I want to ask you guys this question. We could use this as our poll question. If Arkansas was to win, we're just going to get crazy. If Arkansas was to win, in our lifetimes or in our approach to how long we've been watching Razorback basketball, will it be the greatest regular season win in Razorback basketball history that we've seen if they won this game?
Yes. I think so, that I've seen. I mean, just off the top, it would have to trump when they beat number 1 Auburn at home, because it was in Bud, like going into hostile territory and doing it for sure. I mean, there's been some very memorable road wins, but when have they gone and done it against number 1? And this is it's not your normal number 1. This is not like you go play, no disrespect because they kicked Arkansas's butts, but like it's not like going and playing number 1 Tennessee in early January.
Game,
like we're towards the end of the season, and you're looking at Auburn now, and it's like they're tracking on being the most efficient offense in the Ken Palm era, and they got about to set the record for most quad 1 wins in history. I mean, they're cooking, man. This is a really good team. I think it would be, in my opinion.
I mean, look, it would be kind of reminiscent of when Arkansas beat the number 1 overall seed Gonzaga to go to the, I guess, was it in the Sweet 16?
Go to the
Yeah, it was number 4 versus number 1. It would be similar to that. And again, that was in the NCAA tournament. I don't think there's a regular season equivalent to that. Because like you mentioned, Curtis, how there's a difference in number 1 teams. I would actually say that the Auburn team that Arkansas beat that was number 1 in 2022 or whenever it was would kind of fit that criteria of like, they were ranked number 1, but they weren't necessarily viewed as this juggernaut that like was insurmountable. Like I think this Auburn team feels a lot more well-rounded, and like we all kind of unanimously view them as the national title favorite. And that, I mean, that Auburn team was very good. I'm not trying to downplay, the way we felt going into that game. Obviously, it was a crazy atmosphere at Bud Walton Arena, but I do think this Auburn team is a better, more well-rounded team, and they're viewed that way. And again, doing it on the road in what should be a pretty good atmosphere, that would be something. And again, when John Calipari is your head coach, everything you do is magnified. And so I think it would also just be it would clinch Arkansas as an NCAA tournament team pretty definitively. And it would be just another moment for this fan base to really get behind this team and get behind Cal himself.
Yeah, because I was trying to look at any game, which I feel like 100% it would be the greatest regular season win that I've seen. And, it's not a sad thing or anything like that. But like you guys talked about, the bona fide number 1. Like there is no doubt that Auburn is far and away heads above everybody else, number 1. They lost to Florida at home and they didn't move because everybody knew like, hey, they're still the best team in the country. And and I think we were talking about on our way down, Curtis, that if Auburn doesn't at minimum go to the Final Four, it's a failure of a season at the minimum. And it's just they're that good, and to go into their place and do it would be just I don't know whatever regular season win that you could even possibly, because I was even trying to think of a big road win that they've had recently, even in the Muss era. I think Missouri was number 10 on the road when they beat that, and Justin Smith in that overtime game. I think they were number 10. Maybe I don't know if Kentucky was. I don't know what their rank was when Arkansas beat them just the other year we referenced in the Anthony Black year. But that was a nice win.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it was that high.
They might not have even been ranked.
That's true, because they were kind of struggling at that point. But yeah, the point is like if I can't even really think of any other one off the top of my head, then it probably means that there's no questions asked. I mean, shoot, I remember going way back to when Arkansas. This is going to be a throwback. It should be a Remember Wednesday. We may do it tomorrow, but when Arkansas beat Bruce Pearl and number 4 Tennessee in Knoxville, and how everyone was shocked by that. And, that was a huge win, but also shout out to Jefferson Pilot Sports. Still the greatest ending to a game. They're like, hey, with Arkansas came into Tennessee, how about a little Rascal Flats for you? God bless the broken road that led me back to you. That's how they ended a huge upset against number 4 Tennessee. Gosh, I missed that. But either way, point is, I can't think of one off the top of my head, so therefore it has to be the biggest and craziest win. And if that's not going to get fans back in, of course, most Arkansas thing ever, then they lose to Missouri at home. But if that doesn't get them back in, if that doesn't get people fired up and feeling, hey, and you're in the tournament, then I don't know what's going to take, because that's going to be that.
I think, it's got to be it. I'm not seeing anybody in the chat who has any what about this game? What about that game? So I don't know if we're forgetting anything right off the top. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Now they just got to go do it.
Yeah, it's settled.
So easy. Yeah.
Is this the Super Bowl?
Dude, this is bigger than the Super Bowl, if it's even possible. This is like Space Jam, where if you don't win this game, the entire all of humanity is going to be enslaved, and like it's going to be that. So it's even bigger than the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's big time.
Yeah, yeah. And lo and behold, again, when Arkansas played number 1 Auburn last time is when all this stupid Super Bowl crap started coming out. So I hate that term.
That was a big crowning moment for the term. Like that, I'm sure that wasn't the first game, but since then, I feel like I've heard that term more than ever.
Yes, because again, that
Arkansas
was
wins a lot of these games. By the way, they win a lot of Super Bowls. We're like Tom Brady, man.
Yep. I mean, just undefeated, never lost in Super Bowls. Because that's the thing is, you notice that anyone that refers to as like, oh, that was your Super Bowl, it's never after a loss. Like, oh, that was your Super Bowl and you lost. Like, nobody says that. It's only when you win. They're like, oh, that was your Super Bowl. It's like, yeah, sorry. I like winning good games. Mm-hmm. It's fun. And if you want to call it Super Bowl, great. You still took the L. Simple as that. All right, shout out. I got Quinn, man. He's the king. We're going to name Quinn the king. We're going to call him 10 Quinn, because the dude, he gives that $10 super chat like nobody's business, but we appreciate you, Quinn. He says, orange blue looks great. Say, just got to wear some orange blue, John. This team is much better than the Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler team. Our guard play wasn't anywhere close to this year's team.
When we were driving over here, we were talking about that team, and I didn't say anything in the moment, but we were talking about Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler, and John said Jabari Parker and Zeller. It was pretty good. In my mind, I was like, bro, what? Because he's always great with the name pulls, but it was pretty funny.
No, not according to Michelle. I'm not great with names.
Was it
pulling
or Cody?
Pulling names are good.
Yeah, man. I didn't even think
there are 2 Zellers.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
But to Quinn's point, you're right about the guard play. That's the biggest difference, I think, for Auburn this year. And it's why, because I kind of faded Auburn at the beginning of the year. Not like, oh, this team sucks, they're not going to make the tournament. But when I was looking at like the SEC order of finish, and they had Auburn, I think, at 2 and Arkansas at 4, I was like, yeah, Auburn, top 25 team probably, but I wouldn't be surprised they finished 5th or 6th or whatever, because I'm just not sold on the guards. Well, now I am. Those guys have been really, really good. I mean, Denver Jones, he's a completely different player, I feel like, than he was last year. He's great. Chad Baker-Mazara is taking a step forward. He's really good. Pettiford is awesome as a freshman. And then Miles Kelly, who they get from Georgia Tech, is like he's one of the best snipers in the country. So they did some really good work identifying guys in the portal. And then obviously Broome has just continued to emerge into a player of the year candidate, and they got a good thing going. The biggest knock on Auburn when they had some really good teams, couldn't do anything the past few years, is their guards were like high volume, low efficiency guys who couldn't make threes, and they were all midgets. They were all very short dudes, you know?
Isn't KD Johnson like playing JUCO ball or something like that? Like he's like
George Washington, George Mason, or something like that.
Yeah. He had to go. He had to go and speak JUCO.
Not good either. Wendell Green. This was even before Wendell Green was a little bit better the next year, but this is when he was like a 5'7" sophomore where he was like super inefficient.
Yeah. No, like this is a whole new animal of a team, and it's not even close. Again, appreciate all the super chats, folks. This comes from Wade. Says, how much will the jungle be a factor? Well, that's what we're going to find out, I guess.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the buzz is around here for this game. Listen, I'm not saying anything crazy here. Like, I don't think people are looking at Arkansas on the schedule coming to Auburn here going, oh, baby, like this is a big one. Here we go. Yeah. But like, you got the number one team in the country and everything. Like, I imagine, it'll probably be kind of
packed.
And they're coming. It's their first game back from that big win at Alabama. So the fans, I'm sure, are looking for a reason to show them some love. I bet it's going to be crazy. It's a smaller arena, but it sounds like it gets really freaking loud in there, and they're right on top of you, man. It's just kind of a cracker box type of place. I'm really pumped to see what the atmosphere is going to be like, because I've heard nothing but good things about it. And it seems like they're always in that conversation of the longest home winning streak in the country, and they've won this many games in a row at home, whatever. So we'll see what it's all about.
Do they play Welcome to the Jungle in there a lot, you'd imagine?
I hope not.
Well, I gotta say, why do you hope not, John? You're not a fan of Welcome to the Jungle? I feel like it's one of the top sports event like songs to play pregame to kind of set the tone. And so if you're at the Jungle, I feel like it kind of makes sense.
No, you're 100% right. And I do like Welcome to Jungle. Maybe it's just because it's one of those overplayed, it's like AC/DC's Thunderstruck. It's kind of like, all right. But here's the thing I always wonder. So they're the Tigers, call it the Jungle. But aren't the king of the jungle the Lions, or are those Tigers?
No, the Tigers are definitely not the king of the jungle.
Yeah, it's the Lions. So why would – but do the Lions actually live in the jungle, or is it the Tigers live in the jungle?
I mean, Tigers do live in the jungle.
Oh.
There's not the kings. They're not in charge.
The kings.
No, and it's Tiger King. Tiger King is the king.
I mean, we're talking about who dubbed the lion the king of the jungle, It's like –
I think the Lion King, the movie, actually did that. So that's
maybe they did. But so it's like, I don't know if Tigers – it's not like Tigers are in uncharted territory when they're in the jungle.
Wade says the Razorbacks are the king of the jungle for now.
Well, they might be tomorrow night.
Was it Timon or Pumbaa?
Both?
Was the pig.
Pumbaa.
Yeah.
A warthog?
King of the jungle. I get it.
That's true. Yeah. The warthog that always had gas. And then, that's the rep that we want.
That's where we're at.
That's what it's at Arkansas is all about, man. Pumbaa around here. Shout out to Tessero. Appreciate the super chat. Important cue. Has Curtis ever played the blues?
Is this like a Curtis Lowe reference?
I think. I don't even know who that is.
I think so.
I was confused.
Musician Curtis Lowe. I think that's what it is. No, I haven't.
I mean, I appreciate it. I just didn't know.
I'm instrumentally challenged. My dad's a drummer though, so I've got like basic percussionist skills, but not a musician.
Guys, we have a new candidate for King of the Jungle. What do y'all think of Fishman's assessment? Pretty sure Hippo would rip apart a lion. But also, we got to trust Fishman's assessment. I mean, he's Fishman. Like, he's out in the elements more than we are.
Exactly right.
I'd say if he doesn't know, who does? Who does,
I like
really?
How Fishman is giving some respect to his aquatic animal here.
Oh, a hippo. Well, I could be wrong, but I don't know of any sports teams that's named the Hippos. I don't think so.
Well, it needs to change.
That's right.
Needs to change, actually.
Yeah, because apparently they're the true kings of the jungle. And then they can call their arena the jungle, and then it'll actually fit. It'll actually make sense. So, a few other chats here, folks. Red Chase says, just no pictures of food on the social. Some of the elderly among us can't handle it. Yeah, I don't want to have people freaking out, sounding like Donald Duck having a conniption fit than when people start posting like our places we go to eat that's local here of the community, and we think it's cool. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, just wait until I get that Toomer's lemonade here soon.
Oh, dude.
Just you wait.
Dude, we're going to be making a cap cut video of it, too. And we're going to have captions and stuff. Yeah. You watch.
Phone drinks first.
I mean, what a concept that, which, by the way, like, I know we talked about it a lot, but like all of Lexington being travel agents was a big part of that. We had a lot of people that were telling us where to go eat, asking us where we were going to eat. And so, I guess it is just a really disgruntling concept whenever you have people giving the people what they want.
Yeah, it really sucks. I hate making people happy. Quinn, again, appreciate it. It says, John, we are everyone's Super Bowl. Haha. Students will start lining up tomorrow morning. They'll get an experience of a loud environment. KD is at George Mason. So there you go.
Okay. Get a camera on them if they're lined up for Arkansas.
I hate to disagree with Quinn Thomas, who's been very good to us. We appreciate that. And I hope he treats y'all well if y'all run into him. If y'all are everyone's Super Bowl, why are you packing the stadium for Arkansas? I guess, does he mean they treat every game like a Super Bowl?
I mean, I don't know.
Like, if you're our Super Bowl, shouldn't we be packing out the stadium? Which obviously Arkansas doesn't play Auburn at home, but like Auburn selling out the arena doesn't mean that you're our Super Bowl.
I think he was. I think they're all. Yeah, no, I agree. I think he was like doing three different statements at once. I think he was talking about we are everyone's Super Bowl, as in like this year, whenever a team plays them, they're the Super Bowl because they're number one. And that was my whole point back 3 years ago when these Auburn fans are like, oh, we're your Super Bowl. I'm like, no, you're number one. It doesn't matter if you're Vanderbilt or who. If you're number one, that is always going to mean something. Yeah. And so I think he's meaning that. And then in a separate point, talking about the atmosphere, students will start lining up tomorrow morning because we were wondering what the atmosphere is going to be. So I could be wrong, Quinn. Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but I feel like he was just making those different statements. But for sure, like if Auburn was coming to Fayetteville this time around, which, as we were talking about, probably be delayed and with snow and all of that if it was in Fayetteville right now. But if that was happening, I would fully expect the place to be packed and people to be showing out. And it has nothing to do with Auburn. It has to do with the fact that they are number one in the country.
I wish Arkansas would have treated Auburn like a Super Bowl last year.
Serious.
They did not treat that game like a Super Bowl, but again, they were not number one.
How is Drake Field looking? Like, are they even going to get here? Are we going to have to suit up for the Razorbacks tomorrow?
We're ready. I got
they here? I don't know.
That's true. We haven't seen any wheels up posts or anything.
We're basically staying in the Neville Arena parking lot. So if the bus pulls up for a shoot around, we'll see them.
Yeah, we could do some flight tracking, man. Have some eyes on the skies to see if the plane comes flying in. So, man, Quinn, we really appreciate you, dude. You're just lighting it up. Tin Quinn, as he's called. Every single conference game is very loud. We support very well. Yeah, Tin Quinn.
We're gonna be the judge of that.
Yeah, we'll find out. Which here's the thing, and I'm not trying to put too much pressure on Auburn because they don't give a rip about me. But I'm just saying, I've heard that it is one of the loudest places. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So I have a very high expectation for this atmosphere. And I will be totally fair. If it is, first off, it's going to be louder than Rupp. Rupp was not that loud, comparatively speaking. But I think that I'm going to be a very fair, unbiased person. And if it's as loud as advertised, I'll give it credit. But we got to experience it for ourselves. So,
I hate to say it, but when your arena seats 37 people, you should probably fill it up most times, right?
True. Yeah. It should be loud and it should be full. Yes, correct. Because that would be the thing. If Arkansas only had 9,000 people in their Bud Walton Arena, we would never have to talk about bad crowds because they would have it filled up pretty much every single time. If that was the case. Quinn also says 5 minutes before the team comes out, they play Welcome to the Jungle.
Okay.
He also another 110 Quinn, man, you're awesome. Appreciate it. He's saying. Also, Tigers live in the jungles. Lions don't live in the jungle.
Do Lions do they really not live in the jungle?
You know what? They do live in a little bit more open field, like not under a bunch of trees. Lions are out there in the open.
Okay. Well, because then why is the song that's like in the jungle?
The Lions hang out where the grass is, right? Like the tall grass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, where they can pounce on antelope.
Prairies and stuff like
that. And
Tell me Lion King was full of crap, man. Come on. That's terrible.
Fair enough.
Yeah. They're Kings of Pride Rock, though. That's where they're at. Shout out to Wade. $10 super chat. He's appreciate you, man. He says, don't worry, I'm sending the refs a very friendly wire transfer right now.
That's that Doug Shouse.
Coach Z's voice. That's that Doug Shouse, Chuck. Never
Guys,
get the calls.
Important announcement. Cats by 90 has lobbed himself up to get dunked on again. He says it's hard to make an arena like Rupp be super loud. It's very large. If only there was an arena that was very close in size to Rupp and had twice the volume in the SEC. If only we could find something like that, a place that is big and loud. Wow. Let's think about that for a second. One where Kentucky players are covering their ears. Do y'all know any arena like that? Do you guys know an arena?
Once upon a time, I did.
Cat's by 90, I'm about to ban you permanently for some stupid comment like that. That may be the worst comment you've ever said in your life. Because it's interesting. Like, if you think about the loud, like, well, how much, because I could be wrong, guys, but doesn't, like, Fog Allen Fieldhouse up in Kansas hold a good amount of people? Like, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure it does.
Doesn't the Dean Dome in North Carolina, doesn't that hold a good amount of people? Like, and also there's this place called Bud Walton, which, of course, is Andrew, what he's referring to. It's 20,000 people, which, of course, that's another thing. When we were in Kentucky, no one knew how many people could fit into Rupp. No one knew. Like, I got 3 different answers. So I never understood that. Because at Bud Walton Arena, it's like, yeah, 19,200, but they can fit 20. But the point is, that's just a dumb comment by a dumb person and all that. No,
dang.
Like, look at, sorry, Shark. It's all. But he says Bud Walton Arena is a lot, but it's shaped different. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know you were an engineer. Like, the shape of it is what's the difference.
So now we're body shaming arenas.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I mean, come on, guy.
We are so stupid if you're even reading comments like that. What are we doing here? Tin Quinn, appreciate you again. My whole point was what John just said. We've had a target on our back all season, basically. Yeah, I mean, that's what I assumed. And that's what I agree, because I think if you're the number one team, no matter the sport, you can say that Super Bowl. I still think it's stupid, but it's like you're going to get everyone's best shot. It's going to be the best game regardless of the type of team you are. Like, if Arkansas was number one coming into Auburn, you can't sit there and tell me that Auburn wouldn't be extra fired up for the number one team coming to town. That's just the way it is.
I don't know that they've had a target on their back the entire season, though. An early Remember Wednesday to when they had to turn a flight around because of their horseplay on there. Like, people weren't sold on them then, but then they turn around and fly back with 2 of their players down on the plane. They beat Houston, and then they went and won Maui. After that, they had the target on the back, because that was like really the breakout party for Auburn, when people went from, this is probably a pretty good, like your typical really solid Bruce Pearl team, to after they did all that, you're like, oh, they're for real. So yeah.
I know. And I was stupid enough to think that
and it's most of the year, in fairness.
Well, I was stupid enough to think that horseplay on the flight was really going to be like, oh man, it's a bad look. I don't know how they're going to.
It cost me money in the Houston game right away, because it moved the line like 2 points right away.
Yeah. Cal, if you actually are a good coach, make your team get in a fight on the plane, and then I'll pick you guys to win this game.
Who are the candidates?
Oh, 100% Big Z, because he's going to say something in like Croatian or whatever that's going to be insulting, and there's going to sound something worse.
He's a fighter?
I think he's a talker. I think he's a talker, and then somebody gets up, and then somebody else gets up to defend Z. And I'm telling you right now, I think if we're talking about fighters,
it's Billy.
Yeah, it has to be Billy.
and anyone else, yeah.
I'm trying to think of like who the other candidates would be. I don't know. There's not a whole lot. I think Adu would just say something goofy. And then, I don't know, Wagner doesn't seem like a guy who likes to scrap.
Nelly's been chippy.
Dude,
I can see Carter Knox.
He's not playing, but dude, I bet you Boogie being from the Bronx,
yeah,
I bet you he could scrap. So, wouldn't that be something?
He's small though.
Yeah, well, hey, those are the ones you got to watch. Patrick Beverly was small too, and that dude, you wouldn't want to mess with him. So. Yeah, we appreciate all the super chats, folks. Appreciate you tuning in. We love talking about all the nonsense that comes from whatever the show ends up being all the time. So, all right, let's do a little other action here and talk a little bit of other things I know is going on in the sports world. We appreciate, of course, each and every one of you, but appreciate BetSaracen for being a part of Inside Arkansas, the number one sports betting app here in Arkansas. And there's a reason why that they're doing so much good for the state of Arkansas and trying to help out with NIL when it comes to the 50-50 raffle and everything, because they are Razorback fans, unlike other people, and they want the Razorbacks to do well, unlike other people. So download the app today on your iPhone or on your Android, or check them out at BetSaracen.com. And we always appreciate them and their support here on Inside Arkansas. Okay, man, Quinn's going to keep throwing super chats. I'm just going to have to keep going to him. Appreciate it, man. Really do. Tin Quinn says, we better not have Pat Adams or Terry Oglesby. Pat Adams loves to screw us. I hope so, because I'm pretty sure, according to Hog Stats, guys, Pat Adams, Arkansas actually has a winning record with him as a referee. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
I hope you get both of them.
Ew. We need and then just bring TV Teddy back out from his suspension or whatever. Teddy Valentine, get him back in the mix.
Is he suspended?
I don't know if he was suspended, but there's something where he basically was like, hey, you can't referee games anymore, man. You've gotten out of hand. Because I think it was some sort of interaction he had with somebody in like a D2 game. I don't know. I could be making that up. It could be him or Angel Hernandez, one of the two. Yeah. See, okay. By the way, I'm just going to pull up an old like Quinn here. Is this orange or yellow?
That's yellow.
That's yellow. Okay, because somebody was tweeting at me. They're like, that guy Quinn just keeps doing that stuff because it's orange. It's like, I don't think that's orange. I think it's yellow. I mean, the orange is actually the $20, the $20 one. So, I mean, if you want, just saying, Quinn.
Just a heads up, Quinn.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then we'll change your name to Quinty instead of the 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm trying my best. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm failing. Yeah. So by the way, what do you guys think the spread will be, honestly? Because it hasn't come out yet. Usually comes out the day of the game. What do you guys think the spread will be, Arkansas and Auburn?
KenPom has it at 18, so probably
Golly.
about that.
At what
17 and a half?
At what point do you take Arkansas? If like at what point?
Now.
So you take
I'll
that?
take that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's they're very capable of beating a team by that much or more, but it's not like all their games here in league play have been these massive blowouts. They did it to Mississippi State, they did it to Oklahoma, but for the most part, teams have been able to keep it within 15 or so of them.
If the spread really ends up being in that 15 to 18 range, which I agree, I think I think the minimum you're talking about is like 12 to 14. I think it'll probably be around that 15, 16. If it is, I'm going to probably get an alternate line of Arkansas plus 10.5 at like plus 200 or something like that. Not that I think Arkansas is like for sure going to cover or for sure going to win, but like, I mean, if Arkansas lost by 8, would y'all be stunned? Probably not, right? And you could probably get something like if you think something like that's going to happen, you can get an alternate line. Probably like it's a rare opportunity to profit on a double-digit loss by the Razorbacks.
Yes. Well, I was going to say that I'll get on BetSaracen at halftime, and if Arkansas has if it's tied or if they're down by 2 or if they're up by 1 at halftime, whatever the line is for Auburn, I'm taking it because I just have a feeling it could be 100% one of those games. It's a tight game at halftime, and then Auburn just blows the doors off of them and ends up winning by 15 points. So,
not buying the second half Hogs, eh?
No.
Crazy.
No. I'm hoping
It's a second half team.
Yeah, their second half team. And it's their time. It is time for them to have their time. So, but as long as I don't see stupid crap, man, as long as I don't see balls hitting somebody in the crotch and, if it's like stuff like that, yeah, pause. As long as I don't see that stuff, I don't know. I just want to see a game where I think we were talking about this. I get us to like the 10-minute mark in the second half where it's still kind of in doubt and it's been, even if they're up by 8 points, like at least make it to where, hey, maybe, hey, Arkansas's got the ball, or maybe they're shooting 2 free throws, something like that. Just make it to where you get to that point. And even if you don't think they're going to win, you still are trying to psych yourself into it. Do that. I just don't want to see it from beginning to end. Again, be that like Missouri game where everything's just garbage.
Yeah.
All I got is hope.
I think Auburn's gonna do what they need to do, but I could see it being close enough to where we can at least pretend to do that. Yeah. Down by 12 at the under 8 timeout. Hey, one little run, you're there. You gotta stay in striking distance of striking distance.
Mm-hmm. Do that for us.
Eyeball emojis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Arkansas cut it to 11 with 9 minutes left.
Don't let the Hogs get hot. All the stuff that's going to get tweeted out by probably me. So yeah, all those stupid things will be made known. Let's see. Where was that? Where was I going to bring that up? Oh, I don't know what that's saying. It was talking about. I thought I was talking about somebody on the team. Don't mind me. I'm just reading chats and stuff. Maurice is over here saying Arkansas 75, Auburn 71.
Let's go.
Okay.
Like that.
I saw someone else say that it's a race. It's a race to 75. I got to see if I can find that and pull that up because I actually want to make fun of them a little bit. You know how I love making fun of the chat. Shout out to Wade, one of our residential guys, our legendary one, said this game is a race to 75. First team there wins. Is there a college basketball game that we can't view as a race to 75, frankly? Like, I feel like if you beat the other team to 75, unless it's like 75-74, I feel like that's a pretty good like indicator that like, you're going to win the game, right?
It's not bad. It's usually you're usually in good shape if you score 75 points.
I like the odds of the most efficient offense in KenPom database history of reaching 75 first. So I hope that this is not accurate, but we'll see.
What's funny is this actually might be one of the games where it's not a race to 75 because like Arkansas could get up 75-67 and then still give up 90.
I think they've had a couple games in league play where they've scored around 70 though.
Mm-hmm.
They only scored 66 at South Carolina. I think they only scored 70
Georgia, right?
Georgia. And again, like Broome didn't play in that game, but there's been a couple there where
well, listen, we've talked about Arkansas's home road discrepancy a little bit. Not that Auburn really has that, but they lost their last home game and then had a huge win on the road Saturday, right? Am I making that up, or were they at home?
No, they're on the road.
They were in Tuscaloosa, right? They go out and win on the road, play awesome. Now I could see them maybe getting off to a slow start, hearing some groans. That home court advantage might go against them. And again, I do think that like Cal and Arkansas, if there's one thing we don't really have to worry about, it's that like the atmosphere and the environment's going to like scare them, you know? Like, I feel like they're good on the big stage. They just sometimes are bad at basketball.
Well, the fact that the fact that
it's not going to be because they got scared. It's because they can't shoot. That's it.
Yeah. That gummit Quinn, like, thank you, but it's like he's saying, "Here you go," since your viewer complained. Yeah, here's more money. Yeah, appreciate you. He says, "Going to be a 20-point spread, and we better cover." Okay, so Quinn's wanting a beat down. He's wanting run it up, Herman, leave no doubt type of game.
He says better cover. We better cover.
Okay.
Quinn, we appreciate you, man. Bold prediction: Auburn ain't beating Arkansas by 20.
I agree. And I'm the one.
How's that for a hot take?
Yeah.
You could bet on that to happen at like minus 150.
Yeah, exactly. Quinn, my goodness, man, this is the Quinn show today. He says I would be pissed if we only won by 8.
Would you really be pissed?
Dude, how do you get pissed after, like, listen, I can understand if you don't play well and you're frustrated by not playing well, but I don't ever, if I'm the number one team in the country, especially, and you play a game and you win by 8, I don't think I could ever be pissed about that. I just don't see any place I could be pissed. I mean, especially it's a tournament kind of team. I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, if Arkansas stinks it up, kind of like they did at A&M, but like if you lose by 8, that probably means that Arkansas made some tough shots. You know, a couple guys made some threes. Maybe they went on one little run. Like Arkansas's not that bad, or you should be like offended if your team beats them by 8.
Yeah, it's not like South Carolina or something like that. Which
like, by the way, you beat South Carolina by 3.
That's what I'm
saying. So it's like and I understand being pissed there, but yeah, like Arkansas's not that inept. I mean, just ask Cats by 90. We pull out the belts on his ass anytime.
That's right. God, Quinn again, man. Michelle, I'll be getting the guys drinks tonight. Got to make John love us. Well, that's never going to happen. Like, dude, you can drink me into oblivion where I'm waking up naked out in the pasture out there next to your RV park, and I don't think I'm ever going to be like loving y'all. I can tell you that it's not a thing. But I appreciate the sentiment. And I appreciate you trying.
It's always interesting to see where these things go.
Yeah, I just say things and I see where it goes. And then Michelle's like, "You guys owe a drink to Quit." I'm sorry. I thought I was bad with names. Michelle's name's Quinn.
Yeah,
okay.
Wow.
Sheesh.
Called him Quit. No. She questioned his toughness. Wow. That's
she
a
did
shot.
correct it and say Quinn, so I just had to give her a hard time since
Quit
she's
Thomas.
out here.
If Arkansas pulls that belt out tomorrow night, we might have to call him Quit Thomas.
That's right. Oh, that'd be bad. That would be bad. But no, we do appreciate it, Quinn, for real. Like, it's awesome that you
man, we're looking
support
forward to
us and all that. So yeah, we look forward to it and everything. A few minutes here before we get out of here. I know some people had some baseball talk they wanted Andrew to talk about. Like Hickory Hawk says, Andrew, Arkansas 0 contiguous U.S. What?
He
you
means
can
like
read this for me.
The states that are actually united, like because Hawaii and Alaska obviously do not count. And so, yeah, all of the home runs this year have come. You've got 3 from the Alloy brothers, and you've got 2 from Iredale. Oh. I think that's it. So Arkansas hit 5 home runs in 4 games, none of which came from players who were born on the mainland. And honestly, you love to see it. And if Charles Davalon homers first on Friday, that will still be the case.
He's from Ontario. Is it?
Yeah, he's from Ontario.
Yeah, Ontario.
Well, Arkansas baseball is a global brand.
It's true.
I mean, yeah. Although R.I.P. Jay Wucho. Hope he's having fun in Florida. He's gone on to greener pastures. But yeah, Arkansas's got a. Well, what's funny about it is there will like almost certainly. I mean, I don't think there's a single position player from the state of Arkansas. So like if you're hoping for like an in-state home run, it ain't happening this year. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty much it's kind of crazy how global it is. And if you think about pretty much a lot of the best players on the team, a couple pitchers from Arkansas, but like your ace is from California, your number 2 guy is from North Carolina, your number 3 guy is from Ohio. It's like there's a lot of far from Arkansas guys.
Number 4 guys from Batesville.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, your number 4 guy is from Batesville though.
That's true. He is actually from Batesville. Also, John Doe wants to say, at Andrew, can we talk about Arlington for a second? Michigan has projected All-American pitcher coming to town. I think it's going to be a great test to Nate Thompson and the lack of, quote, small ball.
So Michigan had a great week. They went 4-0. They played in Puerto Rico. That like opening, they were like the first college baseball team to play this year out in Puerto Rico. They beat Virginia, who's like a unanimous top 5 team in extra innings. So like that's a huge win. The other games they played like it was like Villanova and like some other like kind of bum school, but they went 4-0. I don't know if they were ranked. I didn't check the rankings to see if they were ranked, but like that's clearly going to be a much tougher game than we maybe thought. But if they have an All-American pitcher, which I'm going to take your word for it, John, they have an All-American pitcher. Are they going to throw him game 3? Because that's when Arkansas is playing them.
It would be kind of weird.
Hold them for Sunday. I really genuinely don't know. But no, Michigan's. I'm glad that they played well opening weekend because, frankly, I was a little worried about that Arkansas was going to come in here. Them versus TCU on Saturday would be like the game, but then like you whip up on Kansas State, you beat a bad Michigan team. Nobody's really that excited. But if Michigan played, after the way they played this weekend, I'm sure that will definitely open some eyes. So we'll see what it looks like. But also, I love that it's going to be a huge test for Nate Thompson's lack of small ball.
Yeah, just calling him straight out for it, man.
Big park, you gotta bunk guys over in a big park.
Gary says if Hogs beat Auburn, we might need to make sure Curtis travels to every away game. Just saying. Michigan, Kentucky. Just saying.
Yeah, if they add Auburn,
they forgot about Baylor for some reason.
If they add Auburn to this list, that's 3 in a row.
Yeah, that's true.
You'd have to go to
biggest wins of the year. Yeah,
you got to go to Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, I'll be there for the Gamecocks. So
got to get out there and be a part of it. Yeah, well, I mean, again, I guess people forgot about the TCU trip or the Baylor trip and all that, but that's neither here nor there. It's not important. Not important.
John went to the Liberty Bowl.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
John actually might be the common denominator here.
No, because then I was also at Baylor, so that was yeah. Can't win them all, guys.
We've all lost. We've all
lost. We've all taken our L's. It's like just part of it. It's a rite of passage. Wade's over here says Curtis has the posture of a professional yoga instructor. Good stuff, Curtis. Okay.
Curtis does have great posture. And it's funny. It actually pisses me off because posture is like one of my weak spots in life. Like I just have I hunch over a lot. And obviously we work on our laptops a lot. So we're kind of hunched over, especially when we're at, we work from the most random locations. We're rarely in a comfortable chair. We're always leaned over. We're at McDonald's with like no back on our chair and we're doing whatever. But Curtis will always, I'll look over and he's like standing straight up and typing. And I'm like, how does he do that?
It's really not great right now. I'm tall. You know what I mean? And so I don't think either me or John have great posture right now. But if he's hunched and I'm hunched, my head's just higher, man. But like if I was really showing off good posture right now, as my wife often tells me that I need to do, it'd be like,
jeez,
this.
Oh.
And so
I just assume
but I like it. I apprate that, Wade.
Yeah.
It's very nice of you.
I just assume they injected Viagra into your spine. That was the only thing.
We got to talk about where some of this is going, John.
I'm just saying that I think that's what they do to help people with better posture. I read it somewhere on the internet.
Makes your spine erect.
That's right. Jeez, Quinn.
But if it's for more than 4 hours, seek a physician.
Call a doctor.
Yeah.
Quinn over here again. Tin Quinn. Need to keep our Ken Palm rating up.
I think Arkansas. I wonder. I should say if Arkansas could beat Auburn by like 15 and they'd still be number 1 at Ken Palm. I really wonder.
I think that's fair. My question to you, Quinn, would be, why do you need to keep your Ken Palm up? Like I would kind of understand if you were like, hey, our net, we can't afford to go down. But even that, it's like you're in no danger of not being a 1 seed.
Yeah, they could lose out.
How much danger of not being the number 1 overall seed? Like, what do you mean you need to keep your Ken Palm up? Is it just because it's a historic offensive rating?
6 more quad 1 wins than anybody else in the country. They've got 8 quad 1A wins, and nobody else in the country has more than 8 quad 1s total.
Well,
yeah, they're cooking.
I mean, how
you could also, that whole offense, the historic offense that they have, you could lose this game 88-78 and still keep that.
Well, you know how you keep your Ken Palm rating up? You just inject it with Viagra.
Oh, wow.
So
I'll email Ken Pomeroy and see if that's true.
Whoa. That's where I draw the line. Come on now. Let's not get crazy. All right. Well, guys, that was a fun show for our first one live here at Auburn. Any Final departing thoughts before we get out of here. We'll give you the floor, Andrew. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I've got some final thoughts. One, I hope you guys have a great time in Auburn. I love and miss you both dearly, and safe travels. Bring us home a dub, but also just enjoy your time seeing the locals and all that. And everyone else, tune into the Bombastic Podcast. We're continuing to crush it. We had a double video day. We're at that point where every day you're getting bombastic content. Some days you might get two. And so as we continue to ramp up things with the season, we'll continue to push out content. And today's episode, which I'm about to record right after this, I've got some criticisms for one Dave Van Horn.
Let him have it.
Yeah. Just rip him. Just rip him.
You always got to rip a coach whenever, he outscores the team 34-8 and wins the first 4 games of the season. You always got to do that. And that's what I'm about to do.
That's the time. Real quick, Hurst, for you. Another super chat. Appreciate you, Kate. He says, how do you think an Auburn win would affect us psychologically the rest of the way?
Quite positively.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good thing.
Yeah. I mean,
break them.
And like I would say, oh man, like that'll be a corner turner and they'll just be on a heater the rest of the way. But we kind of thought that might be the case after Kentucky. And then when they doubled down with Texas and now they've kind of backslid a little bit, I think just the nature of this team with the pieces they have assembled is going to be kind of a roller coaster. But from just a confidence standpoint and like approaching every game once they get to postseason with the belief and like the confidence, the urgency, the things that he's looking for that they can win, they'll have it after that. I mean, why wouldn't you?
No, not to mention that, it'll just also prove to me that this team sucks at home and they love playing on the road.
That too.
That's just what it is. So, all right. Curtis, any final thoughts before you get over?
No final thoughts really. Like, be safe, everybody in Northwest Arkansas.
For real.
Honestly, I know the weather's crazy there. Don't go out unless you have to go out and take care of John's dog. So, be smart, be safe out there. And yeah, just looking forward to getting out of this Auburn decored apartment and seeing what this place is all about.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to check it out. And we're going to be exploring a little bit, checking out some sites and whatever. And we're going to continue to be live here from Auburn, Alabama. And we'll keep you guys updated on everything. We'll have Inside Arkansas Live, normal schedule tomorrow, maybe a different locale. And we'll, of course, have the Pot at the Palace post-game show following the Arkansas-Auburn game tomorrow. And don't forget that Andrew's going to be down there in Arlington for the college baseball series this weekend, too. So a lot of great stuff happening here in Inside Arkansas. Be sure to subscribe to us here on Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. You can also check us out on all of our social medias at Inside Arkansas. You can download the audio versions of our podcast wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Pot at the Palace or the Bombastic Podcast or Inside Arkansas Live. And you can also check out our website at InsideArkansas.com for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information. So for Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow at noon. Stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your afternoon, folks. We'll see you then.